Welcome back to the 90-Minute Mind, the podcast that takes you deep inside the mind of the game. Some players leave a legacy on the scoreboard, but a rare few change the very language of football. Johan Cruyff was one of those few. He didn't just play. He redefined what football could be and what it should be. This episode is about the man who turned movement into magic and thought into trophies.
Johan Cruyff was born in Amsterdam in 1947, just a few blocks from a stadium where he would one day become a legend. By the time he was a teenager, his style was already clear, smooth on the ball, smart without it, and always one step ahead of the game. Cruyff joined Ajax's first team at 17. He wasn't just fast, he was fluid. Every touch had purpose. Every movement created space. And space, for Cruyff, was everything. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, Ajax, with Cruyff at the heart, dominated European football. They didn't just win. They played in a way no one had seen before. It was called total football. In this system, players weren't locked into one position. Everyone moved. Everyone adapted. Defenders became attackers. Midfielders dropped deep. It was a dance, and Cruyff was the choreographer. Under manager Rinus Michels, Ajax won 3 straight European Cups. Cruyff wasn't just scoring goals. He was shaping the rhythm of the game. By the time he left Ajax, he had helped the club win 8 Dutch league titles, 3 European Cups, and several domestic trophies. But it was more than silverware. It was style. It was structure. It was a new way to play. In 1973, Cruyff moved to FC Barcelona. And once again, he transformed a team in real time. Barcelona hadn't won the league in over a decade. Cruyff arrived mid-season, took over the pitch, and led them to the championship. One goal, scored by Cruyff with his heel behind his head while floating in the air, was so surreal it was dubbed the Phantom Goal. With every pass, feint, and run, he brought intelligence to the field. He played as if football was a language, and he was fluent. Internationally, his biggest moment came at the 1974 World Cup. He led the Netherlands to the final, dazzling the world with technique and vision. Even though they lost to West Germany, it was the Dutch style that stayed in people's minds. That same tournament, Cruyff unveiled one of football's most famous moves, the Cruyff Turn, a quick fake shot and dragback that left defenders frozen. Simple, brilliant, timeless. After playing in the Netherlands, Spain, and even the United States, Cruyff retired in the mid-1980s. But his second act would be just as influential. The coach who thought differently. Cruyff returned to Ajax as a coach, then later took over Barcelona again, this time from the sidelines. As manager of Barcelona, he built the famous dream team of the early 1990s, a group of fluid, technical, creative players who played a style of football. Under his leadership, Barca won 4 straight league titles, a domestic cup, and their first ever European Cup in 1992. But trophies were just a byproduct. Cruyff was building something deeper, a philosophy. He demanded intelligence, movement, and bravery from every player. He once said, "You play football with your head, and your legs are there to help you." That one quote sums up everything. Cruyff believed football was a thinking game. Every pass should mean something. Every movement should matter. He hated fear-based football. He pushed his teams to express themselves. Win or lose, they would play the right way, with courage and creativity. And it wasn't just about the first team. He believed in building from the bottom, developing smart, technical players from a young age, coaching minds, not just muscles. His ideas didn't end when he stepped away from the bench. They lived on through the players he taught, especially one young midfielder named Pep Guardiola. Cruyff taught Guardiola to think like a coach long before he became one. And when Pep began managing, he passed on the same philosophy at Barcelona, Bayern, and Manchester City. So when you see a team dominate possession, press with purpose, and pass through tight spaces, you're watching Cruyff's vision in action. He's been called the father of modern football, and for good reason. Let's pause and reflect on the numbers. Not all of them, just the ones that matter most. 3-time Ballon d'Or winner, 3-time European Cup winner, 8 Dutch league titles, 1 La Liga title with Barcelona as a player, for La Liga titles as a manager. 1 European Cup as manager, over 500 professional games played, nearly 300 goals scored, but the real numbers are harder to count. The number of players he inspired, the number of coaches he influenced, the number of young footballers still. Learning the Cruyff Turn today, Cruyff passed away in 2016 after a battle with cancer. But his vision lives on, not just in tactics, but in spirit. Every time a player chooses to dribble instead of booting the ball away. Every time a coach encourages creativity over conformity. Every time a child pulls off a turn, a pass, or a move that opens the game. Cruyff is there. He made the game more beautiful and more thoughtful. Football was lucky to have him, and we're lucky his ideas are still shaping the future.
In episode 4, we start where it all begins: youth soccer development. What do young players really need to learn between ages 5 and 12? What kind of training builds confidence, intelligence, and love for the game? And how can parents and coaches avoid the biggest mistakes in early development? We'll answer those questions and more as we begin a multi-part series on training, growth, and learning in the early years of football. Because the future of the game starts with how we teach it today. Thanks for tuning into the 90-Minute Mind. If this episode moved you, share it with a coach, a parent, or a teammate. And remember, football isn't just played. It's felt, it's thought, and it's always evolving.